Hey everybody, it's Lindsay and I'm here today to share with you how you can layer up some of your digital stamps. Now this is all done in Photoshop Elements, so I just opened a new project that is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I'm just going to name it the Roses card just so I know what it is later on when I go to open it. So I went ahead and opened this new document, then I'm going to go up to the File tab and I'm going to click Place. Now once you go ahead and click that open button, it's going to bring up all your file tabs. You want to go in, you want to find the digital stamp that you want to use, but you want to make sure that you use the PNG image. Don't use your JPEG, that's not going to work for this technique. You need to use a PNG image. That means that all the space around it is clear. You don't have any white space around your digital stamp. However, all of your digital stamp has white in it, so anything you put behind it isn't going to show through. Those lines aren't going to show through. So you want to make sure you use a PNG image. Once you click on that, click your open button, and that's going to bring it up on your tab, and then you can go ahead and play around with the placement of it. Now this digital stamp that I'm using is the Rose Trio Digi from Digi Stamps for Joy. And I went ahead and clicked that one, click the open button, click the green arrow, played around with it, and I wanted to cut off those stems. I don't want those to show. So I went ahead and put those down into the bottom left corner, and then I went over to my Layers tab on the right, and I'm going to right click on that image there, and it just brings up your options, and then you want to click Duplicate. So that's going to go ahead and bring up a copy of my image, same exact way. But here you can see I'm going to go back over to this right hand side layers image. I want to go ahead and click on that copy image. You can see I'm coming up here, and I'm going to drag this down, and anything that is below that image is going to be behind it. So you can play with the placement as well. Because I want those stems hidden, I really need this behind that first image that I put. And then you can go ahead, again, you can click and drag this one, play around with the size of it, make it to where it doesn't look like you're using the exact same image all the way across the card. Once I'm happy with the placement of it, I'm going to go ahead and click that green arrow down at the bottom, and then I can come back in and I can keep duplicating the same image, moving it around, move the size of it, play with the size of it, play with the placement. All you want to do is make sure that your stems are hidden. Now you can do this as many times as you like. You can do it as many, you can do it as few times as you like. It really is just about playing around, moving all these images, playing with the order of them. Some are going to end up behind, some are going to end up in front. You just want to make sure that you have all of the pieces of your images hidden that you want hidden. Now, as I said before, I'm using Digi Stamps for Joy images for this card. All of their digital stamps that you buy come with a JPEG, and they also come with a PNG image. You want to use the PNG image. This won't work with JPEGs at all. I don't know if all digital stamp companies are like that. I know that Digi Stamps for Joy, all of their images come with your digital stamps in the JPEG form and the PNG form. So you just want to make sure that you check with that before you buy if you want to use this technique. Now here you can see I'm going up, and I'm going to right click on this image again. I'm going to go ahead and click Duplicate Layer again. It will bring this up. You can rename it if you want. I just keep it copy 2. It'll be up to copy 3, 4. You can see I have about 7 layers going on. Once I get all of my images the way I want them, I end up with about 7 layers. So you are working with a lot of layers. You just want to keep playing around until you get it exactly the way you want it. Here you can see I'm done. I've got my images exactly how I want them. So I'm going to go down to the background layer, right click on it. It's going to bring up all of my options again. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Flatten Image. And that's just going to make my project one layer again. It's just much easier to print off this way and to save it also. So I went ahead and printed off. I just used my laser printer. It's linked in the description box below, as well as over on my blog if you want to see which one I use. It's just a cheap one. I use it for all of my digital stamp printing. So I went ahead and printed this off onto a 110-pound cardstock that's white. I printed with the crop marks, but I trimmed outside the crop marks so I could tape this down to a hard board. I just do that because it gives me a nice smooth coloring surface to work with, and I don't get any of my lines from my grid mat on this. So I'm just using my alcohol markers to color this in, and I'm keeping to 3 color groups. I'm keeping cream roses, yellow roses, and peach roses. I'm using 2 different colors for each color group, so about 6 markers, and I'm just coloring this in. Now, you want to take your time whenever you color this in, and it's a good idea to have kind of like your main image pulled up that you used, especially with these flower images, because you want to make sure that you're coloring just the petals that go with that flower. And it can get a little confusing when you're working with so many that are layered on top of each other. So just keep your main image pulled up and go back and reference that whenever you're coloring in. And you can see here whenever I'm using, like with this peach, I went ahead and I brought out my lightest marker. I colored in the entire area that I knew was going to be a peach rose, and then I'm coming in with my darker marker, adding the shading, and then I come back in and just smooth all that out with the lighter color. This makes it to where I only have to go and reference one time, so I can make sure I'm getting all of that flower all at one time, and I'm not going back and nitpicking little petals here and there. It just makes it a little bit easier for me, but you want to do whatever works for you. Here you can see I'm coloring in the very lightest color with my rose first and the yellow, and then I came back in and I shaded and then blended it all out again. This just makes it easier for me so I don't get confused about what petals belong to what rose while I'm coloring. I also kept odd numbers of colors here. So I have 3 cream roses, 3 yellow roses, and then 5 peach roses for my main color. Now for the leaves, I'm going to come in first and I'm coloring all of these in with my lightest green color, just so I know I get all of the leaves colored and I'm not missing any. I'm also coloring in, there are a few stems poking out here and there. I'll go ahead and color those as well with the green. Then I come in, add shading to all the leaves at one time, and then I come back in and color them all with the lighter color. Now to make these images really pop off the cardstock, I'm coming in with a light gray, putting it all around the roses, a darker gray just at the lineage of the roses, I guess you could say, and then I'll blend that out with my lighter gray, and that just makes it to where these roses really pop off the cardstock and it's not so white around them and they don't get washed out. It also helps because I used a very light cream color, it helps that color stand out as well. Now once I was finished with all of my coloring, I trimmed out with my crop marks to make this card 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. However, I ended up just a little bit short, probably about a millimeter or 2 short for 4 1/4, but that's okay, it's going to end up looking fine. So I used the really big thanks set. This is from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm using black dye ink. I've lined up this very scripty thanks on the bottom right hand corner. I'm just going to ink that up and stamp that down, and I use my Misty because I didn't want to have to color another piece of cardstock that I had put so much time and effort into. I didn't want to screw it up with my sentiment. I'm going to end up stamping this about 3 times to get a nice rich impression with this stamp. It's one I never used before, so it takes a few stamps to get it nice and crisp. But once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and pull this out. I put some double-sided adhesive on it, and a little trick I found that works with this paper tape especially, run your bone folder across it before you try and peel the backing off, and then your backing paper comes off in one swoop. It really helps. I used a Daffodil Delight piece of cardstock to make an A2 side folding card base. And then I'm just going to attach this right to the front of that card base, and you can see I've got about a millimeter of yellow peeking off on the left side, but it really helps tie the card together. I also added a few moonshine sequins, just 3 of them, and these are from Simon Says Stamp. I'm using glossy accents to secure them and my quick sticks tool to help me put them down. And I'm using 3 just to keep with kind of the odd number theme going on this card. And odd numbers seem to just look better to the eye too. I don't know why, they just do. So I'll go ahead and put those down, and then I came in with my Wink of Stella and I put a layer of the clear Wink of Stella over each of the roses. You could skip this step. It does take quite a bit of time, but it just added a little bit of shimmer and shine to this card. And that will finish off the card for today. I really hope I have inspired you to layer up some of your digital stamps, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. As always, I will leave you with a close-up and just a few pictures. For more information and the supply list, you can head to my blog, craftingwhilecaffeinated.wordpress.com. The link is in the description box below, as well as that I in the top right hand corner. That will get you there too. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting!